Let's begin this hour, however, in the state of Kentucky with Jordan Henning. That murder trial, we're picking up right where we left off with the state's opening statement.
Storm clouds gathered over the Henning household, and another storm tore through that house that took her life. As soon as her friends were gone, Jordan Henning came in, and you'll see and hear, because this storm too was caught on camera. Surveillance cameras around the house will show you how Jordan Henning raged into the kitchen and begins yelling. He screams at her, he yells at her, "You never listen to me, you don't love me." He's berating their son. It gets to the point, you'll see, she yells for the kids to go to their rooms and close their doors. You'll see and hear how one of the children ran next door to the neighbors, and you'll see how the neighbors came to try and intervene and calm him down. And he threatens them. And unfortunately, you're going to see, after all of the turmoil, all of the threats, you're going to see Ashley Henning sitting in a chair, and Jordan Henning shooting her as she sits there pleading with him to put the gun down. You'll see how she tries to get up and run. He follows, stands over her and shoots her, gets another magazine and comes back and stands over her and executes her. And you'll see how he spits on her body as he walks away. And you'll hear how he does a countdown and tells her, "This is going to end in death tonight." And you're going to hear him tell her it's all her fault. Now, I don't know what kind of explanation or excuse one can come up for that. But when you've heard all of the evidence and you've seen and heard the video, I'm going to ask you to find Jordan Henning guilty of murder.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Mr. Green, Mr. Eggert, do you want to open or Mr. Eggert can give you? All right, thank you. Mr. Eggert, do you all have any?
We do, Judge, if you could just grant us 1 second.
Sure.
Thank you, Judge.
How do you want that position, Mr. Eggert? Do you want, I think it'll, the cords and everything will reach you to put it directly in front of everybody so that they're not, then you may have to move your podium a little bit. I mean, we can put it where it's directly in front of everybody. Yeah, go ahead. I think, there we go. There we go.
Well, there's one. Why don't we do that? Yeah, I just don't want to lose sight. Thank you. Your Honor, counsel, deputy detective, good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Good morning. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Henning was an outstanding soldier. He served his country honorably, both in the United States and overseas. He placed himself in danger. He served our country and served our country to protect us. Tragically, on this date, and this is a man, the evidence will show, no criminal record, no brushes with the law, never committed a crime in his life. But on this day, he snapped. He lost it. He went over the edge. He killed his wife in his home. The home had a security system, which he helped install. And so the shooting is on video. The shooting is awful. But having said that the video is awful, ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Henning, as I said, broke. He's not the first person to break, and he broke. There's no other explanation. He went over the edge, and he went over the edge for a variety of reasons. One, he was embroiled in a marriage that was horrible. The proof will show that there was physical abuse in the marriage and had been for years. Grabbing of the testicles to the point where he was in pain. Mental abuse. You're worth nothing. You're nothing at all. You're useless. You're worthless. You're not a man. It was day after day, year after year. You're nothing. He had a condition where he had to take testosterone, and there were repeated remarks. You're less than a man. And while those things were building up, ladies and gentlemen, he had 9 trips to a national training center. Combat. It's designed to be as rough as combat by the Army to prepare you for combat. And 9 trips, it is not, you'll hear testimony, it is not infrequent that people die. All right? There's an acceptable loss rate to prepare people, and he went 9 times to this training session. And it was 9 times. He might as well have been in combat or close to it. He was deployed overseas once, and on that trip, he was supposed to go to Kuwait, or supposed to go to Afghanistan. He went to Kuwait, and then they had him go into southern Iraq. He was in what's called an imminent danger zone. He was constantly on the alert. There's mortar fire in the area, small arms fire. And this is a man who was trained, ladies and gentlemen, to react, to protect himself, to go into danger if he perceived danger. And in this particular case, ladies and gentlemen, he went into that mode. It's a reflexive mode as he lost it and lost his bearing and lost his way. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a tradition, I guess I believe we do in this country. We have a tradition. We do not, and never have left our soldiers on the battlefield. We've never left them to die. Never. And ladies and gentlemen, this case is serious. The video is very serious. It's horrible, but I'm going to ask you not to leave this man on the battlefield, not to leave him out there to die. At the end of the case, we're going to ask you to convict him of a very serious crime, but not murder, because he is not a murderer. He's not a criminal. He broke. Let me explain, I guess, a few of the reasons why I'm standing here and standing up for it. We looked at his military record and the things, the evaluation, the performances that he got. He got performances, that evaluations. They would say, ladies and gentlemen, and I've got some of them right here, if I can. Among them, Henning ranks as the #1 out of 2 sergeants that I rate. His potential's unlimited. Henning absolutely needs to go to ACL and promote to SSG ahead of peers. This NCO needs placed in position of increased responsibility as quickly as possible. Henning provided guidance to soldiers on training, all personnel in a fair and equal manner. Dedicated NCO consistently sacrificed time to ensure all soldiers' needs were met. All right, this is a career that went on for years. All right, exhibited highest standards in loyalty, personal courage, focused on mission accomplishments with superior results, treated subordinates with fairness and respect, stood above his peers in his ability to lead soldiers, can be relied on to accomplish any task. Confident leader, ensures his soldiers are trail-trained, motivated, self-confident, performs high-quality work. Everyone, his respect for his subordinates, his respect for his peers, his service, his dedication, his loyalty, they are cited again and again. And in fact, the lack of selflessness, his selfish service was beyond reproach. Completely dedicated to the mission of his shoulders. He's rated not just qualified or something. He was highly qualified. He will excel in positions of greater rank and responsibility. I could go on. I could continue a lot. I'm not going to. That was Jordan Henning in the service of our country, protecting us. All right, let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Henning. This right here, that military is one of the reasons we're standing up for him here. Let me tell you a little bit about Jordan. He grew up Sardinia, Ohio, small town, 700 people, farming community. He's raised by his mother, grandfather. I don't know that he ever met his father, but his mother and his grandfather loved him. They raised him. Went to high school in Sardinia. He excelled. Played every sport, National Honor Society, straight A's. He also worked. He worked throughout high school. After high school, he continued to work. He had various jobs. The job he loved the most was tutoring, counseling severely handicapped children in a group home. He had a knack for it. These people were severely disabled. He had a knack for communicating with them. But he had always wanted to be a police officer, or he wanted to join the military, either one. And ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what he did. He joined the military, he enlisted in the United States Army, and he enlisted September 28, 2012. In 2013, July, he was assigned to Fort Stewart in Georgia. There at Fort Stewart, he was trained for deployment to Afghanistan. He was deployed. Instead of to Afghanistan, they sent him to Kuwait, and there were excursions into southern Iraq. All right? And there, he was constantly on the work, danger, imminent danger zone. You had to be on guard, day in, day out, 24 hours a day, every second. Well,
we're going to hit the pause button right now. We do have to take a break, but don't go anywhere. And also, let us know what you think about this latest live trial here on Court TV. The military wife murder trial playing out there in Kentucky. We'll head back after this short break.
You feel that?
The NWSL is on ION.
Yeah, I feel it. It's game time. Let's go!
Lace them up. We're hitting up all your favorite clubs.
Showing off a little skill now. The shot is all running!
The new Saturday Night Out is on ION starting March 15th at 7 p.m. Find ION wherever you watch.
ION. It's on.
You're going to see Ashley Henning sitting in a chair. And Jordan Henning shooting her as she sits there pleading with him to put the gun down. You'll see how she tries to get up and run. He follows, stands over her and shoots her. Gets another magazine and comes back and stands over her and executes her. and you'll see how he spits on her body as he walks away.
Back now to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, where the former U.S. Army soldier is on trial after shooting his wife at her birthday party. Defendant Jordan Henning is charged with murder in the death of his wife, Ashley. Police say that the two began arguing after her birthday party back in 2023, which led to Jordan shooting Ashley several times. Let's get you back into that court now. We are listening to the defense's opening statement.
While he's in Kuwait, he gets a Dear John letter from the woman he'd married previously. She says, see you later. So now he's in Kuwait. He was serving overseas when he got that letter. And it's there in Kuwait that he met the person he married, Ashley. She was older. She was 27. He was 24. She was of higher rank. They began to date. She had 2 children. Tyler was 1 and Carter another. On May 27th, or 2016, they got married. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the proof's going to show that for my client, this marriage was an emotional nightmare. I'm aware every marriage has, both sides, but for Jordan Henning, this marriage was a descent into hell. He became attached to the children, yes. He raised the children as his own, Tyler and Carter. Carter, I think, was young, too. He ended up calling him Dad. He taught him soccer, taught him how to cook, bonded with him, attached with him. He tried to become the best dad in the world, all right, to both children. But because Carter was younger, he bonded with Carter. And he tried to make Carter do everything he could for Carter, with Carter, as if Carter was his own. But the marriage itself, ladies and gentlemen, just was, it was just a train wreck. They went out or transferred to Fort Collins, Colorado. The abuse he got was quiet, I mean, you couldn't see it. There were kind of flashes of potential of violence. I think she was arrested obstructing police with violence. He never said anything. The higher command never found out. She was able to stay in the Army. She tampered with his brake lines in the motorcycle. She would occasionally hit him in the back. She would, as I say, squeeze his testicles. There was no intimacy. It was just the pain. The testicle was painful, but even more painful was the remarks. You're worthless. You're worth nothing. You are nothing. Okay. And some of the texts he wrote texts about it. Maybe up there now. You don't love me. You don't respect me. You don't care about me. He knew it. There was really no bones about it. No intimacy at all. No pretense of intimacy. It is, you're worth nothing. I don't love you. Two questions. Why didn't he? Why didn't he report abuse? We'll present multiple reasons for it. Multiple reasons. First, who would believe you? You're a tough soldier. You've gone to the National Training Center. All right? You've been deployed. You've been trained. You've been trained to kill. A reflexive action. You're saying that this person is pushing you around? You're allowing this person to squeeze your testicles? Nobody would believe. No one would believe me at all. It's like the reverse of what's happened over years when allegations have been made. Women have made allegations no one believed. But nobody would believe that he, ladies and gentlemen, this tough soldier, could possibly be abused. And of course, it's in quiet, it's in secret, it's behind closed doors. But even the people close to them knew this marriage was a disaster. And he certainly confided to people he trusted. Yes, this is what's going on. Second, not only did he fear being ridiculed. But in his experience, when someone makes a complaint like that of abuse in a domestic situation in the military, the person who comes out unscathed, the person whose career keeps going, is the person of the higher rank. She was higher rank. And who gets drummed out of the military? Who's the one who takes the hit when those allegations are made? The lower rank, and he was the lower rank. He thought if he made a complaint, that was his career in the military, a career he dreamed of, a career he was, spent more than a decade building, and the military was his family. He thought that would be it in my career. That would be it for the military. That would be it for me. It's another reason as well. My client had a child, Riley, by a prior relationship. When he had Riley, the mother, I guess, disappeared. I think the mother, unfortunately, became addicted, disappeared. My client did not see her until he was on video. On video when he was in Kuwait. But he fouled that up when he finally got to see her. He fought for custody. He got custody of her, all right? And in fact, got custody of Riley, raised Riley. So now he's raising Riley, and he's raising Ashley's 2 kids. But at some point, because he really wanted custody bad, he persuaded Ashley to help her to adopt Riley. She did, but then the remark was, man, if you leave me, guess what I'm gonna do? You're gonna lose Riley. You are gonna lose Riley. And of course he'd lose Carter, and he'd lose Tyler, and he'd lose the military, he believed. Everything he had would be gone. So he stayed in this marriage, which for every minute was almost every minute a living hell. Be blunt with you. As this marriage hurtled toward the rocks, the marriage became almost a kind of an open one. He saw people, but he loved her. She saw people, and she made clear she didn't love him. One time at a party, he remarked, it was time to leave, and he remarked to her, hey, let's go to bed. Not in a salacious way, but hey, let's go to bed. And the person there heard her say, I'm not going to bed with you.
Before we go to break, let's bring in our guest for this hour, watching along with you at home. From Los Angeles, California, our guest, our friend of the program, we have trial attorney Krista Ramey. All right, so much to talk about with this, and we're not even through the defense opening statement. I mean, they're really villainizing the victim here, calling him not a murderer. He did it, but he's not a murderer. What are your thoughts?
I wrote down the word that villainizing the victim too, right then, right before we came on the air. Hi, good morning. I feel like there could be a story to tell here. I don't know that this is the best delivery of it. And I say that because when you're confronted with the video of him spitting on his wife after shooting her in a fit of anger on her birthday, you don't come in and tell a disjointed story like is being done here by the defense. I think that, the way my notes looked when I was listening was, well, what's the point with the military? Then I'm like, oh, was he in combat? Where was he in combat? So I'm asking all these questions, and I'm getting pieces of it, but it's disjointed. I think that if this story was told in a more fluid way, where we heard about how horrible his combat experience was leading up to this, we might get a sense of maybe there's a diagnosis of PTSD, maybe there's some kind of history that can explain why he broke here. And the delivery of this opening is not getting me there. So I hope that the presentation of evidence does, because right now I'm left with this image by the prosecution, which was so profoundly good in a very short opening about how violent this death was and how callous he was in doing it. So,
and how we're going to see it. in case evidence.
Yeah.
It's just very shocking. And notice that opening statement was much shorter. All right, we do have to take that break. Krista Ramey, you're going to be sticking with us all hour. But when we come back, more of the defense opening statement in the military wife murder trial. You're watching Court TV. This is Court TV Live. I'm Matt Johnson in today for Ted Rowland. Thanks for being with us. Now, before we head back to court in Kentucky, a quick update out of Wisconsin, where Reed Galinsky is waiving his preliminary hearing, which was scheduled for earlier today. The 15-year-old is charged with first-degree intentional homicide in the stabbing death of his mom, Suzanne. Investigators say that he planned to kill both of his parents after watching a Menendez brothers documentary on Netflix. He allegedly hit his mom in the head with a dumbbell and stabbed her repeatedly in the chest and the neck. We'll continue to follow this case very closely and bring you updates on air and online as they happen. Let's head back now to Kentucky, where we're watching day one in the murder trial for Jordan Henning. Prosecutors charge Henning with murder after allegedly shooting his wife to death after her birthday party. Let's get you back into court now for more of the defense opening statement.
Marriage was hurtling towards, as I said, the rocks. Let's go to June 26, 2003. That's her birthday. In fact, she didn't want a birthday party. She didn't want a birthday celebration, but neighbors decided they'd give her one anyway. I don't know why she didn't, but she did not. So that afternoon, neighbors come over, kids come over. They play soccer and so forth. My client brings out the slip and slide. There's hot dogs, there's hamburgers, and so forth. Apparently having a good time, but like many things, the truth is hidden. At some point outside, he literally just touches or tries to touch Ashley's cheek. And the response is a squeeze to the genitals, the point where it's painful. My client begins to decompensate. At some point, ladies and gentlemen, at some point, arguments start and there's neighbors who come over. Jimmy Watts, Mr. Bokert also came over. Let me tell you about the neighbors. My client in that neighborhood did everything, the proof will show, everything in the world for the neighbors. He saved, people would put out posts, he saved the neighborhood, he saved our lives. You know, there was flooding in a neighbor's house. Who would pump it out? Jordan. People needed their car fixed. Jordan. People needed grass cut. Jordan. People needed trees down. Who was going to cut them up? Jordan, Jordan, Jordan. People described him as the best neighbor you could possibly have. That was Jordan Henning. After this happened, the proof was shown. It's understandable. They turned. Boy, did they turn. He's just a terrible guy, this and that. When in fact, we got proof. They talked with him. They were in group chats. They went drinking with him. That month, I think there was 130 texts between their first witness, Jimmy Watts, and our client. And he was considered a great man and a great man in the neighborhood and great for raising Carter. But this day, he began to collapse. And as he's arguing and as he's getting angry, all these things start building. Watts comes over, and Watts, I think Carter comes over and said, our parents need help. Watts comes over, and really, he tackled our client. They go to the ground. My client lets him out, but as Watts leaves, he says, I'm going to get my gun. He's on his property, Watts is, and he says, I'm going to get my gun. And my client goes to, Jordan Henning goes into a reflex action, a reflex training, all that military. He's convinced that he's in danger. He goes upstairs and gets his gun, which he had not had. After he gets his gun, he sees Watts in another silhouette on the property. He believes Watts, and it may hurt him. He believes to the silhouette, whoever it is, may hurt him. He believes his own wife may hurt him. And at this point, he goes over the edge completely, and he loses it completely, and he breaks completely. And he brakes completely, and he takes the gun, and he shoots multiple times, and he gets in a car going nowhere, and he ends up on Rhineyville Road. This is what he looks like when he's stopped by police. Let's take a look.
Oh, that didn't have the problem. She was an angel. I'm sorry. Listen, man. Look, I said that she hit me. She was an angel. I'm sorry. She just kept me going down. She couldn't do it anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I get that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm sorry. If you're sorry, then don't teach me.
As he repeatedly bang, bang, bang. They take him to jail. He's charged with murder. These forces, dark forces indeed, the military training, they all combined. Disappointment. And the worst of all, worse than any physical abuse, being told, you're nothing. You're not a man. They all overcame him until he snapped. Now that's what happened. Is the video awful? Yes, it is. Is the shooting awful? Yes, it is. But is our client, is Jordan Henning a murderer? He is not. I'm going to ask you at the end of this case to convict him of something very serious, not murder, because I don't want you to leave him on the battlefield. I don't want you to leave him out there for dead. I don't want you to leave him for, quote, the enemy to take him. I don't want you to leave him to serve out the rest of his life when he served our country. So I'm going to ask you to find him not guilty of murder, where he should be punished, or admit that he should be punished, or admit he should be convicted of a serious charge. But he's not a murderer, and we're asking the court, you all, not to convict him of murder, and not to take away the rest of his life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.